had the only viable breeding pair of Sumatran rhinos in the country. But will this zoo save the entire species from extinction?
It wasn't just this institution trying to produce a pregnancy. It's the international community that's involved with this program. We just felt like we had to do it. I mean, there was so much pressure on us there to make it happen.
Then, the rainforest is one of the most complex and delicate environments on Earth. So how did this zoo in Cleveland, Ohio, recreate it in one spectacular indoor exhibit?
The special thing about this exhibit is that it includes animals from all over the world. It's not a rainforest that's particular to South America or Africa or Asia.
Finally, gorillas and chimps are some of the most powerful and intelligent creatures on the planet. So how did this zoo create an open habitat without bars, walls, or fences? We found the best zoo habitats on the planet and brought them together in one place in a world we call the ultimate zoo. Shrouded rainforests of Indonesia and Malaysia lives a gentle giant. Averaging just 1,600 pounds, the Sumatran rhinoceros is the smallest of the 5 remaining rhino species. But due to poaching and the inability to breed them in captivity, this rhinoceros is rapidly heading toward extinction. Is it possible for one zoo to succeed where other zoos have failed? By breeding the rhino and saving the species from its inevitable extinction. The Cincinnati Zoo could be the animal's only hope with their state-of-the-art Sumatran rhino exhibit. With over 600 different animal species and a dedicated center for conservation and research, the 75-acre Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden is in the Ivy League of American zoos. In 1997, the zoo was on the world stage as it faced one of its greatest challenges ever. Cincinnati had the only viable breeding pair of Sumatran rhinos in the country. And without a single birth in captivity in over a century, it was up to the zoo to make sure that this pair made it. Taking no chances, the zoo's first order of business was to bring in Dr. Terry Rod. For nearly a decade, she has been one of the world's leading experts on Sumatran rhinos, having done extensive research on the animal in their native habitat. In Cincinnati, though, she'd be trying to save an entire species with a male named Ipu and a female named Emmy.
This is Emmy, and she's a rhino that we've had here since 1995. Emmy was actually a calf when she was captured on the island of Sumatra. We believe she was probably orphaned. And the reason we think she was orphaned is because at that age, she'd usually still have a mother around her. And we didn't see any signs of her mother. There were no adult rhino footprints in the mud or anything like that. So our best guess, her mother was probably killed by poachers. And she grew up at the Los Angeles Zoo. And then once she was mature, they sent Emmy to Cincinnati because we had the only male, Ipu. We were kind of the final hope in being able to breed this species in the United States.
Leaving nothing to chance, Terry and her team's first goal had to be with the habitat itself. Terry set out to create the most naturalistic rhino habitat possible, so the rhinos would be comfortable enough to mate. She knew that for the health of Ipu and Emmy, as well as any newborn, it was critical that the exhibit accommodate the rhino's sensitive eyes.
And there are several different light readings you can take. UVB radiation is the one that we're most concerned about.
Living in the shadows of the Indonesian rainforests, Sumatran rhinos have actually evolved in a world with little direct sunlight. And because of this, their eyes are extremely sensitive to the sun's UV rays. So to make the rhinos as comfortable as possible, Terry's team created a special canopy structure to filter out 99% of the direct sunlight.
They actually get a sunburn on their eyes. And so what we're hoping is that we're basically protecting the rhinos from a sunburn just like we would do with sunscreen on ourselves if we're out on a sunny day.
Next was the terrain itself. With the sunlight filtered above, their additional needs were rather simple. First, there had to be plenty of mud. In the wild, rhinos will spend up to 12 hours a day rolling in mud wallows. This keeps them cool and prevents their skin from becoming too dry. Then there was the rhino's diet. Here, keepers insert up to 60 pounds of ficus branches a day into simulated trees incorporated throughout the habitat. Hanging the branches in this manner allows the rhinos to eat as they would in the wild, stretching their heads up and pulling the branches down. With ficus branches hung and mud wallows in place, the outdoor portion of Cincinnati's Sumatran rhino habitat provided Ipu and Emmy with a stress-free environment that would hopefully encourage them to breed. Next, the 1,000 square foot night house was constructed and equipped with everything Terry would need to monitor Emmy, including plenty of space for veterinary care, like ultrasounds, and smaller dens for any potential births. With it all complete, Terry could only hope that the custom-made habitat would increase the comfort of the rhinos and possibly increase her odds of fostering a successful birth. Only that was still a ways off. She now faced one of the most paramount challenges of Sumatran rhino breeding: bringing Ipu and Emmy together.
That has been the big challenge to breeding this species in captivity. They're solitary in the forest. They do not like each other's company. And so we can't house them together because the animals will fight. And when you put animals as large as this together and they start fighting, it's pretty scary.
So, with such aggressive behavior, how did Terry ever bring these solitary rhinos together? Ultimately, she had to make the introductions very slowly, a process that in a perfect world would be timed around Emmy's ovulation. Only that was another critical problem. Terry had no idea when that occurred. In fact, no one did. It was one of the mysteries of the Sumatran rhino. So she started with baby steps.
Ipu really likes his pool, and we would feed him and get him comfortable and get him settled in his pool, and then we would actually put her in his exhibit, but only for a very short period of time, for about 15 to 30 minutes.
Without an aggressive response from Ipu, Terry continued the process day after day, until one morning, Ipu finally took interest and attempted to mate. Following the encounter, Terry monitored Emmy's hormone levels and made a startling discovery. Emmy had suddenly begun to ovulate.
And that's when the light bulb went off, and I thought, she's an induced ovulator. And what that means is they only ovulate when they breed, and that's so different from all the other rhino species. So, from a scientist's perspective, it was a turning point.
Terry had discovered that female Sumatran rhinos only ovulate when they breed, meaning timing Ipu and Emmy's encounters was less of an issue. Problem solved. Terry continued the mating routine, and sure enough, soon Emmy was pregnant. But while Terry and the team were thrilled, now they had to concentrate on their next challenge, making sure Emmy made it through the full 16-month gestation period.
Emmy first became pregnant actually in 1997, and we were so excited. Unfortunately, at about 42 days of gestation, she lost it, which was heartbreaking for us, but we thought it's not unusual for the first pregnancy to be lost. You know, the next one she'll probably keep. But she went on to lose 4 more pregnancies.
Having come this far, the repeated losses struck a depressing blow to Terry and the staff. Despite their best efforts, without a successful birth, the species was moving closer and closer to total annihilation. Coming up, Terry's crusade is faced with even greater obstacles. Will she watch the future of the species slip through her hands? Or will she be able to unlock the secret to a successful birth in time to save this endangered species? Find out next on Ultimate Zoo.